Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
British Spy Stories Season 4 Double Agent Episode 15. Becky stands in the open doorway and looks out at the sand and the rolling power of the North Sea beyond the beach. Sylvia appears behind her in a long mackintosh. She has Lily, who is equally wrapped up for the weather. Once outside, the women each take hold of one of the girls' hands, cross over the coast road, and drop down the slope to the beach. They decide to walk along the foreland as far as the harbour mouth. Lily runs over to splash through the water in her Wellingtons, and she waves back to the women. High up on the roadway that tracks along behind the beach, 2 men watch the group. "What I don't understand," says Sylvia, "is why the police thought you were involved in killing someone. They spent 20 hours trying to get me to admit it. They kept on and on, asking me if I wanted to confess to any crimes. They said it would be easier for me in the longer term when we got to court." Sylvia looks incredulous. "All they had was the CCTV from the club. They thought that when Leo kissed me, he was trying to hand me something, and the kissing was a cover for what was really going on. And did he hand you anything?" "No, apart from his number, of course." "What?" "On my phone. He put his number into my phone. I didn't see him do that." Becky pulls out the device and flicks through the screens to find the contacts list. "Here." She hands the phone to Sylvia. "What are those numbers he's added?" 6 sets of 2 digits. She holds up the phone for her friend to see. Becky shakes her head. "No idea." They walk on for a few moments in silence. Then Sylvia says, "What you going to do when you get back?" "I'm not sure I want to go back." "What about Lily's school? Haven't you already signed up for a local place at Maida Vale? She could grow up here." Becky's eyes are fixed on the horizon. "It felt very isolated being here as a teenager," says Sylvia. "I was here from 11, after we moved down from Scotland. I couldn't wait to get away when I was 18. Becky looks at her. "That's the same for everyone, isn't it? No matter where you grow up. It's the uncoolest place in the world because your parents live there." Sylvia looks serious. "And what about Gavin?" Her friend turns her face back to the water. "I'm not sure. Not sure he'd want to live here. Or not sure you want to live here with him. I don't know." On the roadway behind them, one of the men puts binoculars up to his eyes and watches the women on the sand. The walk from Tottenham Court Road tube station to the Plume wine bar in Covent Garden takes Alice and Loxby only 12 minutes. Before they had left home, they'd each had a couple of vodkas to give them courage for the coming evening. The women arrive at the bar intentionally early, so they have time for at least one cocktail before Gavin Masters is due to arrive. They both order espresso martinis and are lively as they talk, partly from the alcohol and partly from their nerves. During the day they planned how it will work tonight. After half an hour, Alice will make her excuses and leave Loxby with Gavin, unless Loxby tells her that she's coming with her. Loxby is more nervous than her friend, and her stomach starts to hurt as they sit there, so she goes off to the ladies' bathroom. The door opens and a man walks in who Alice recognises from the photos that Loxby had shown her. He looks around the bar, and Alice feels she'll have to get his attention or he may leave, and the whole thing will have been a waste of time. She raises her hand. He sees it and walks over. "Emma, is it?" says Gavin, holding out his hand to shake. "No, I'm Alice. Emma's just gone to the loo." "Okay," he says. "Can I get you a drink?" "Sure. Same again." Gavin goes to the bar and gets the drinks. Loxby is still not back from the bathroom when Gavin returns. He puts the glasses down on the table, then drops down onto a stool. "Sorry, she's been ages," says Alice. "No matter. What do you do, Alice?" "Software design." "Enjoy it?" "Yeah, love it. We're going live on the App Store next week." Gavin nods in appreciation. "It's a bit beyond me, all this app stuff. I prefer to meet people face to face, to be honest." "Do you like being an MP?" she says. "Yeah, it's all I ever wanted to do. I was one of those 17-year-old boys who stood for the school council." "Nerdy," she says. "Like us techies. No friends, but big dreams." Their eyes meet for a second. He smiles. Then she does too. "I'll drink to that," he says, and they raise their glasses to each other. Alice can see Loxby making her way across the pub. "At last," she says. "Here's Emma." Gavin turns on the stool and shocks Alice at the rate his attitude shifts when he sees Loxby. He immediately stands up. "What on earth?" he says. The women are lost for words. "Are you two trying to trap me?" he says, too loudly. Loxby hadn't planned for this scenario, and she says, "What do you mean?" "Trap me like you trapped Charlie Webster, is that it?" "No, He pushes his face up close to her. "You're busted, young lady. You come near me again, I'll call the police." She instinctively pushes him away. He grabs her hand and pushes back. Loxby loses her balance and falls onto the next table where a couple are sitting. Gavin picks up his coat from where he put it on another stool, throws it on, and storms out of the bar. Alice and the couple at the table help Loxby up. Then Alice sits and comforts her friend. "What a wanker," says Alice. "What the fuck was he on about? You okay?" "I hit my head on the other table," says Loxby, wincing. As they sit and are recovering from the fracas, a man comes over to them. "You all right?" he says. Loxby nods and smiles weakly. "I know that guy. I'm a politics student. He's Gavin Masters MP, do you know? He's a junior minister too. What a twat. I got a great photo of him, though, pushing you over. If you need any evidence, I'll put it up on my socials. I've got 300 likes already." "Will Tallis be able to do this?" says Gabby, as she and Hans sit in an ambulance on a side street near the main shopping district of Zurich, dressed as paramedics. "Coniston's trained him. Should be all right." "Did London finish the work to register us as medical staff?" she says. "All done. London forcibly registered you, me, and this ambulance on the systems that Zurich hospitals use. So when we drop a body off, and they check who we are, it all looks kosher." A moment later, Gabby says, "Any movement on the camera?" "He's putting his coat on," says Hans, and turns the iPad in his hand so that she can see the video feed from the security camera just inside the front door of David's architectural practice. "1 minute," says Gabby into her comms headset. "Coniston, sit rep." On Bahnhofstrasse, around the corner from the ambulance, Kate stands in a doorway opposite David's office, wearing running gear and watching the people walk past. A face mask is rolled down around her neck. "Sit rep green, Ma'am," she says into the mic on her headphones. "Tallis is approaching the door," says Hans. 10 seconds to opening." Kate watches from the outside. There's dead air on the comms as they wait. "I have a visual on Tallis," she says. David pulls the door closed. He spent the morning making sure that as many people saw him in the offices as possible, just as Suki had told him to do. He turns south and walks on, trying to remember how far he is supposed to go. He wants to look back, but she told him to act normally. His heart is beating hard, underneath the stab vest, and his hands are sweating. Despite David knowing the plan, when it starts to happen, he is still taken by surprise. Before he knows it, Kate is there, beside him. Her face, up to her eyeline, now covered with the mask. Her knife hand comes in low, and the blade cuts through his clothing before it hits the first blood sac, strapped to his chest. "Cry out," she whispers, and then he lets out a dramatic shriek as he falls to the floor. Kate stabs again and bursts the second blood sac, then turns and runs at full pelt to a side alleyway. She can hear shouts behind her. "She's getting away!" Someone is shouting. "Up that alley!" Halfway down the passage, she bursts through a door in the wall and into a small vestibule. She tears off her outer clothes and opens a bag that she had stored there yesterday. She puts on a green dress, a black wig, a large tan overcoat, and heels. She can hear the shouts getting nearer. "This way, officer. I saw her. Go in there." She drops her old clothes into an oil barrel in the room, pours lighter fuel on them, and throws a lit match into the drum. As the inferno blasts upwards, she starts to run across to the other side of the building. In Gloucestershire, on the second floor of GCHQ, the intercepted calls from members of the public in Zurich flood into a call centre, and the staff mimic the Swiss emergency operators. On Bahnhofstrasse, Gabby and Hans are already making their way along towards David in the ambulance. They pull up next to him, and Gabby jumps out to attend to the man, now surrounded by a pool of fake blood. She starts to go through medical procedures. Hans brings out a bag of medical supplies from the back of the ambulance. "Stand back, ladies and gentlemen," he calls to the people gathered around. "Give us space to work." The crowd moves back slightly. In the alleyway, the policeman kicks at the door lock to gain entry to the room where the attacker had gone. Kate is at the far side of the building. She runs at a fire exit door which bursts open. She walks outside, her heels clicking on the pavement. Kate turns left and back to the main street, looking like any other Zurich resident, out on a shopping trip. The policeman bursts into the room, followed by 3 members of the public, and they stand back as the flames lick out from the burning barrel. Gabby continues to inspect David, and Hans pulls out a stretcher from the back of the ambulance. She starts resuscitation and pushes down on the man's chest, then gives him mouth-to-mouth. "I'm losing him," she says, loudly enough so the crowd around them can hear. They play out the scene. David breathes again. Hans attaches a mobile monitor. Then his heart stops. Gabby resuscitates again. But this time, she can't revive him. They both slump down, where they sit, on the ground. Around them, the crowd murmurs in their shock. After that, Hans and Gabby cover David's face and load the body onto the stretcher. The crowd is silent as they wheel the man to the ambulance and push the stretcher inside, leaving the blood pool on the pavement. The ambulance moves off and turns into a maze of side streets. After 3 turns, they approach a set of industrial doors in the side of a warehouse, and the doors start to open. Hans drives into the warehouse, and Kate tugs at the doors to hide the ambulance away from prying eyes. "All okay, Coniston?" says Gabby, as she steps out. Yes, Mum. They open the back doors of the ambulance, and David is sitting up on the stretcher. Come on, says Kate. Hans guides David to sit down at a table, and Gabby sits on the other side. Give me your hand, she says. She sprays David's fingertips from a can. Don't move your fingers for a minute. There is a van parked at the back of the warehouse with a chiller unit humming behind the cab. Hans walks over and slides out a medical stretcher with a body bag on it from the van. He wheels the body bag over to Gabby and leaves it next to her. Open it up, Gordon, she says. He unzips enough of the bag to allow him to move one of the dead man's arms out. Gabby produces a pair of tweezers and, finger by finger, she pulls off the now solid layer from David's skin and applies it to each of the corpse's fingers. How does that work? Says Kate, as they watch. The spray captures a single layer of skin, says Hans. When you reapply it, the DNA collapses into the recipient's epidermis. Within 2 hours, you can't tell it's been applied, and Tellis's fingerprints will be part of that man's skin. Gabby works on and completes the transfer. Coniston, she says. Take Tallis and get him changed. Kate walks David to an office in the warehouse. New clothes are waiting for him in a suitcase. He dresses. Then Kate says, Now sit down. She pulls out an electric shaver, flicks it onto number 5, and skims it over David's head. When they walk back to the others, Gabby looks him over and nods. You'll do. Hans and Gabby get into the ambulance, this time with the new body in the back, and Kate opens the warehouse doors. As the ambulance passes Kate, Gabby leans out of the window. Take him to Gamma 3 safe house. Yes, Mum, says Kate. We'll drop off this body, then regroup tonight. The ambulance pulls out into the road. Kate hits the button next to the doors which start to close. She offers David her hand, and they walk off towards the town.